Hey everybody, it's Ben Jorgensen, and welcome to the Hypergraph Hour. If this is your first time attending, this is really meant to be, as I was just saying, a laid-back little session, Q&A, where we invite some of our advisors, we invite our partners, we go through our roadmap, and really the goal is to provide a perspective for the Lattice Exchange community, the DAG community, and anybody that comes into our orbit, and give them an insight on how we do business and kind of what our vision is. So we've had guests from a partnership that we formed from Yield App, and we had Tim Frost on where we talked about treasury management, his treasury management application, how that's going to be applied to our L0 tokens that build and fundraise through Constellation. We've brought in Reihito Hatayama, a good friend and advisor who was the former CEO of Sanrio and Hello Kitty, where we talked about decentralized kuretsus. And now today, I'm pretty excited as we have Monty Metzger on with us at LCX. And funny enough, Monty's name came up in the community, and somebody was like, "You got to talk to him." And I got this email from Monty, and I was like, I think I even responded back to you like, "Hey, are you even real? I don't know." And then I hit the community to see what. To see kind of their interest in the conversation, and everybody that I talked to was overwhelming. Like, dude, you got to talk to Monty. He's amazing. He's got great energy, and they're doing some really, really awesome things. And I got to say, Monty is one of the fastest, hardest workers I've met in crypto. In a matter of like a month, less than a month, we formed a pretty big partnership that I had a vision for years ago, and it really came together so quickly with Monty. So today is this session that is going to talk through LCX. We're going to meet Monty if you don't know him, and talk about our dynamic. And really, this is just the start of an amazing partnership that's going to be an anchor for Constellation. So, Monty, I'd love it if you went into your background, and you have background in venture capital, and now you've been in crypto. Last week or a couple of weeks ago, we had a friend of mine that's a managing partner at Shasta Ventures, which is a venture capital firm that had $1 billion under management, and kind of sharing his insights on the space. But would love to hear more about your background, what you're building, how you've made that transition.
Perfect. Thanks, Ben, for the introduction and the warm welcome. I'm excited to join your Hypergraph Hour and also get to know your community. And you're right, both of our communities brought us together, and they kicked me as well and said, you got to have a deeper look because it solves an issue which we are working since a long time. And so therefore it's like a match made in heaven. Basically, it's bringing in together a lot of benefits on both sides, and we can deliver some outstanding process on that. But back to that later. So my current role is CEO and founder at LCX. LCX stands for Liechtenstein Crypto Assets Exchange. We are based in this little country of Liechtenstein, which is in the middle of Europe, an hour drive roughly from Zurich and Crypto Valley, Zug. So it's in a proper good location. And LCX is building a new blockchain ecosystem to combine the old traditional financial world with the new innovative technologies. So at the moment, what we've set up is LCX Exchange as a secure and regulated platform for buying, selling, transferring, and storing digital currencies. And we have obtained 8 so-called blockchain registrations at the Financial Market Authority in Liechtenstein. This is more than anybody else in the region or in Liechtenstein, even more than a bank. They're a local bank who are fully regulated. So we are very proud about that achievement. And the licenses go alongside the value chain of crypto and blockchain. And I can explain a little bit more detailed what it means. But on my personal story, that's what I'm doing now. But then I had been an entrepreneur since the 90s. I started my first company at school in 1998, doing HTML programming and website development. and continued as a digital entrepreneur. But I started together with a partner in New York City, a trend and future research company, 2003. And we did do market research on the latest and biggest new trends. And so we did open an office in Tokyo and in Beijing. We did a lot of things around mobile communication. iMode was coming up there, like first mobile feature phones and phones you have to open up like that. And then the first mobile games on the Nokia devices and everything. So that was pretty exciting. And we actually did a lot of things in cyberspace also with Second Life during the time. And we opened the first shop in Second Life for Deutsche Bank, everything like that. So trends and future topics always had been with me. And with that knowledge, I switched to become an investor. And so the last 5 years, I've been running a venture capital fund out of Luxembourg, another European country. And we did invest in companies around your corner. So in San Mateo, we did a few deals in Israel, in Northern Europe, and in Asia. And that's how I discovered Bitcoin as well, because we did some deals together with Adam Draper, the son of Tim Draper, and he brought in his father to do the deal with Coinbase, which eventually now is worth a few $1 billion with their stake. And he dragged me into Bitcoin. And so since 2013, we had been investing, we had been studying a lot of things. When I sold my previous company, I had the chance to also double down on my investments. But as a regulated fund, venture capital fund, we could not really invest during that time. So 2013, 14 was when Bitcoin reached $1,000, and then it dropped again to 100. So everybody thought, oh no, now it's dead. So it was such a funny and great time to be in, but there was no regulatories or guidelines, nothing. So when we spoke to the regulator back then, they didn't have a clue. So as a fund, we basically were sidelined. We couldn't invest officially, so we could only do private deals. And so now, then 2016 and 17, when governments picked up working on guidelines, on regulation, that's where I picked up interest again and said, okay, that's now a turning point where we can actually combine kind of this innovation and the disruptive forces of blockchain and cryptocurrencies and adapt it to the trillion-dollar markets of financial markets. And that's how LCX was born. And that's kind of the key vision behind as well.
So you really have a whole scope on, the entire internet and where it's going. I give you a ton of props for leaning back into the CEO role after being in venture. I know that's such a hard shift to do, just because you experience the drama of starting businesses through the lens of an investor, and it's one of those things that you really commit and go. So I can't think of a better CEO for building out a world-class exchange. So kudos to you.
Thank you. But all that knowledge now comes into LCX, and I honestly also have to say, being an investor is fun, but it can be very boring because you are a number cruncher. So you always have to look into reporting, filing all these portfolio notices and everything. So you're basically looking at performance of companies. I would ask you then how many users you have, how many wallets are created, what are how is Constellation network doing? So I would immediately evaluate your company as an investor. And if you do that on a daily basis, it gets boring in a way. So I was super thrilled and excited to go back in the entrepreneur seat. And so I resigned as a general partner. My partner took over the fund management on a daily business. And I moved to Crypto Valley and I moved all in. So since now almost 3 years, basically nothing else than crypto.
That's amazing. And the chats that we've had about projects coming on to L0 and using your knowledge to explore fundamentals that you're looking for projects that will be listed on LCX, I just think is an invaluable perspective. And having worked with so many other and talked with so many other exchanges out there, they miss those kind of key fundamentals that are going to be vital to the success of not only Constellation and projects that are building on it, but listing of LCX on LCX. So I think it's a really great perspective that you're bringing to the space that matures the entire industry. So Monty, maybe diving into it, I'm very honored to be a part of your 100 days of news. Can you kind of tell the audience, like, it's been fun to be a part of your momentum, because it was like a shotgun blast of like, all right, we got an agenda, we're doing it. And so we got brought into the middle of your 100 days of news. Can you talk a little bit more about what that is and how that is kind of impacting how you're defining LCX to differentiate itself from other exchanges out there?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So basically, we have been building a community from start back to 2018 already. Then we launched a few trading products called LCX Terminal and then DeFi Terminal, where we offer kind of advanced trading tools to our community. But we had been working most of our efforts were in silence, in stealth mode, because we had been building a lot of compliance efforts, crypto compliance suite. We've been filing for these registrations and blockchain licenses. So there'd been a lot of work in the back. And now, since we got that, we had to shift gear and said, okay, now we have to go out, actually launching LCX Exchange, and now building up growth. And it's a centralized spot exchange as of today. So how can we compete? And first of all, we are regulated, compliant, and secure. So we have to file and set up the whole structure in a very secure manner, like separating the funds of users to separate wallets, having multi-signature processes, having kind of a more secure basis. And then also on the compliance side, I mean, we have the same standards as a digital bank or another financial institution in terms of due diligence, identifying, also monitoring users. So we have to make sure no shady things are happening on our exchange. And besides that differentiator, like, we want to build growth. And that's why one of our team members came up with the idea, let's do 100 days of news, 100 days of LCX, 100 days of announcements. And we started it with kind of very exciting announcement already being prepared. So, for example, we launched with Monerium, a partner who is launching a digital euro so not a stable coin, but really a euro tokenized on the blockchain. So legally, there's a difference to it, and that's an exciting partnership. Then we have 6 or 7 other kind of bigger partnerships in the making at the moment. And obviously, we are super proud and excited to also announce the partnership with you. Obviously, what is so funny is the community reaction, because obviously we can't do something big like partnership with Constellation every day. So basically, we have to like play it the right way, that there's something big today and then there's something like smaller ones the next day. And today, I think the highlight is really that we are doing this session, joining the Hypergraph Hour and answering all these detailed questions.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And, what's dear to my heart is regulatory compliance. Being in the US and building a crypto project has created a lot more red tape than I ever dreamed of. And the entrepreneur in me is always like wanting to trailblaze. And when we launched Lattice, we worked with a lot of small Asian exchanges that were not regulatory compliant. And I found out that they take advantage of a lot of projects out there. And if I hadn't had the experience that I've had in the space, it would have crippled the company. And so, so when we found each other, I was like, wow, these guys are really taking the impossible level. I know you've talked a little bit about regulatory and compliance, but maybe you can talk about the importance of why that matters, because some don't have that, and you're trying to do this. What does that mean to the users, the companies that you place? Like, how has that helped shape your entire vision?
Well, you have to probably go a couple of steps back to see this perspective of where the whole crypto and blockchain industry is. I mean, if you look at the hype around Bitcoin and so on in the news, there's a lot of talk, but still the overall market is tiny and the potential is massive. I always say blockchain is to the money what email was to the letter. So it's the introduction of a new technology. Of course, you can send a letter, but email is more efficient, quicker, and now you do instant messaging, Telegram, and so on. And same with blockchain, cryptocurrencies. Basically, every financial product will be tokenized. Every money will be tokenized or represented in a blockchain or distributed ledger technology in any way. And the question is not if, but it's rather when. And we are just at this tipping point where we see kind of mass adoption happening step by step. But as a kind of former futurist, I know how to differentiate between a hype and something sustainable. And basically everything which we are building here now, the infrastructure of public blockchains and what Constellation Network is building, that's the infrastructure of future financial markets. Because if you go back or like if you look now on like how banks or stock exchanges also work, and there's so many manual processes inside. There are hundreds of people doing manual work, which is useless, time consuming, and sometimes very, very inefficient. And this will be changed. And more importantly, these are all silos. So there's a system which like a financial institution in New York is working with, but it doesn't work with the system in Switzerland. So that's why money transfer still takes ages. There are 5-6 settlement banks in between. Sometimes it got stuck and returns or something like that. And then if you want to do larger amounts, it's even not possible so easily. And that's where I think innovation comes in, because I see that every financial asset can be represented on a blockchain. We see digital money evolving. We see a new kind of derivative products, and then lots of innovation happening, like in the NFT space, where we're revolutionizing value chains and how artists make money. Because if you're a Damien Hirst and you sell a painting or like any of your artwork, then it's gone, and then it's owned by somebody else, and you sell it again or this person sells it at Sotheby's, but the artist will not be getting a share. Now with NFTs, it's a game changer, because you can always get a little share of every future sale, or kind of a license fee or whatever you call it. And that's just like one example, which is mind-boggling if you see how the art market will be transformed with that. Even with physical items, if we like tokenize items or like artists or like artworks or something like that. So very, very exciting. And then going into financial markets even more. I mean, that might be probably not as exciting. So not the daily newspaper will report about it, but it will make trillions of dollars. I mean, if you look at derivative markets, real estate, stocks and everything, it's just like a natural step.
I think that's awesome. So you see that, like, we're starting to see that there's more of an opportunity beyond just trading digital currencies, but into digital assets and providing those free exchanges. So, I think the obvious question, just to kind of make it an easy one, is like, why Constellation? Why does this matter and is so essential to the LCX community beyond just listing of LTX, listing of DAG? Why is it so essential to what you guys are building?
Yes. So probably one more comment in terms of the exchange ecosystem and also your experience, what you've done, what you've seen with unregulated exchanges. basically, you know, there are hundreds of exchanges out there, but there are only a handful who take regulation seriously. And then there are like large ones who are like current market leaders who basically will never become a regulated entity because they can't. You know, they have such a backlog of money laundering happening on the exchanges, or just like trading tokens, which are actually securities. So they can just turn around and make the history gone, the past basically deleted or something. So this is not possible. So they will never make it, basically. And I think in 5 to 10 years, the market will change completely. So it's an opportunity for new marketplaces to come into play. And that's where we see ourselves really in kind of following the path of Coinbase and Kraken and so on, and building a kind of a next generation exchange. And in order to do that, we need strong partners. So why Constellation Network? So basically, the L token standards, I mean, competes with a lot of standards, but crypto is all about scale. And I think you have built the infrastructure to scale fast and to create a profitable network for all stakeholders involved, including the community. So partnering with LCX and bringing the Constellation's ecosystem in is really enabling the overall Constellation network to scale on all fronts. So, you know, L tokens could be launched on a regulated platform much faster. It could go into kind of a decentralized way to also kind of combine best of both worlds, like a decentralized ecosystem plus the beauty of centralized exchanges like LCX Exchange. So in a nutshell, kind of we are pushing mainstream adoption. What do you think, Ben?
Amazing. No, I do too. And one of the hot topics that keeps coming up is not just listing of DAG and LTX. Thank you for your kind words and kind of seeing our technology for what it is, that there's so much potential there. And the L0 token standard is just like one little tidbit of it. But one of the hot topics is around LCX spinning up a state channel or node on the Constellation Hypergraph, which really starts to tackle the oracleization of data. And certain solutions like Chainlink have kind of produced an oracleization path and product. But what Constellation is doing is oracleizing complex data types, which really kind of opens up to auditability and transparency of trading practices. So you get to see the health of the order books to prevent things like naked shorting, for example, and how many users are actually trading, what's the organic volume. And this really kind of opens the books up to centralized exchanges. And, you know, LCX has kind of come out and said, hey, we want this. We like what has happened in the DeFi space, where people can evaluate liquidity pools health, that people can determine the health of the token, trade volumes. Talk a little bit more on how you see vision spinning up an LCX state channel and what that's going to do for user adoption, regulatory compliance, while also building more trust with your users.
Yes, it's not only trust to users, but also kind of legal clarity and security. You know, with that legal structure, users have rights which they can enforce. So it gives security for projects like you and me at LCX, basically, that whatever we do is like within the laws. We can like play with these rules, but also it gives all investors a security that there won't be like legal cases, or like if you have an issue, you can actually go to the Liechtenstein court and enforce your right as a token holder, because within the laws, the token is now a legal vehicle in a way, which can be filled with different rights. And what it means for a state channel and kind of Oracle networks is kind of indirectly also reflected within the legal structure which we've now built. And what is exciting is that we don't just have like an exchange license. We have built a full regulatory setup. So first of all, this due diligence as a kind of a ground level, which every like bank or financial institution also has to do. And then on top of that, there are different roles. And one example is the price service provider. And it's relevant because if you tokenize any assets, artworks, cars, real estate or something, and you agree to buy this real estate, for example, with Bitcoin, then you say, okay, I give you, it depends on how you define it. I give you $10 million in Bitcoin, but then the price has to be defined also. Like, which price do you take? Do you take CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, or like something at LCX Exchange? There might be big differences on the different exchange platforms. So how to generate an official reference price, which is immutable, which is secure, and also can't be changed afterwards. And that's something which we've now built with our like initial MVP products here, with the price oracles. So that's a reference price for Bitcoin, Ethereum on Euro and US dollar, and giving basically one price each day. So if you buy your real estate, you can go back to last November on the 20th and see, okay, that was the conversion rate, official conversion rate. And what we are now planning to do is to bring these data and data feeds also on different channels. So that's why the state channel and running a node for us is something which is very exciting, because we are experimenting with a couple of data feeds which we could bring on. But the underlying idea is really that, if you can make the best systems, but if the one thing, like the price conversion rate, for example, is manipulated wrong or bad for the deal in general, it turns upside down the whole metrics. And then you probably wouldn't do the deal or something, or it would be from a good opportunity to a bad opportunity. So, and that's also where a lot of financial institutions, bank, make a lot of money, because of intransparent conversion rates or like fees which you're not aware of.
So I think this is pretty fascinating, because what you're so everybody that's on this call, like, listen to really what Monty's saying is really the evolution and path to mainstream adoption of cryptocurrencies, where data derivative products and data products and developer tools can actually be created in a succinct way that's truly, where the data is truly valid. Now you can actually make institutional grade trading solutions, much like hedge funds do in securities markets. This is a fascinating evolution that I know personally at Constellation we've had a vision for, being able to index all the different blockchains while also indexing the NASDAQ and having that validated on a network. You can create pretty advanced solutions with this data. So not only are we talking about creating better oracleization around this data and auditability and referencing price action, but you're also talking about creating what we call this like DataFi, or creating advanced solutions around the data and letting developers kind of decide how they want to use the data. So I think it's really cool. One of the things I'm, as you alluded to, I'm personally excited for is taking L0 tokens, which we introduced as one of our data standards, and having a clear path to listing for projects. Going through this, it's such a nightmare on listing projects, how exchanges will operate, how they evaluate you. And so this is like one of the really big visions that we have, is making sure that people that come into our ecosystem and build know that they have a safe haven to really distribute their tokens. Can you talk about, one of the things that, and this goes back to your venture side, the fundamentals that you're looking for out of L0 tokens, the evolution of blockchain solutions that will be listed on LCX. What are those like things that you're looking for that will qualify to be listed on LCX? Because LCX is pushing the bar on putting higher quality projects on their exchange. I mean, that's going to differentiate you guys.
Yes. So basically, we are looking for exciting projects to be listed, and also to differentiate in terms of what we can do as a marketplace. But even more important now, with L tokens coming into the marketplace, is that we want to accelerate the time from idea to launch of any L token on the Constellation network. And we want to do that by providing a legal framework where you could do several token sales in a fully compliant manner, with like everything what you need, like a registrations, for example, or like a notification, depending on the size of the sale at the regulator, using the whole legal infrastructure and legal framework in Liechtenstein to launch and sell these tokens. So the token issuance process could be done in a fully compliant manner. And basically what it means that you can go from 0 to 100 with L tokens and exciting projects, but still being compliant.
What do you think are some of the big hot topics that are coming out in terms of businesses that can be built on a blockchain? I know, like looking at some of the projects that we plan to hand over to LCX, which we have a myriad of projects that are just so different in their use case that what crypto communities think of. It's opened up a whole new vision of where blockchain technology. What are you seeing kind of come down the pipeline for the crypto industry in like advanced solutions and new businesses that are built on a blockchain? And where do you think the markets are going?
Yes. So what we currently see is, there are a lot of infrastructure players like Constellation Network, and I think we don't need 50 more. So I think there's already very, very smart people like whole your team is working on solutions. So I think currently what is needed is to build traction with these platforms. So the key challenge and where we want to help is also to create dApps, smart applications on top of the Constellation network, enabling the L token to become L0 businesses basically, and grow there. And that's also where I see the biggest opportunities for investors and crypto traders, because they want to be part of the future of these new applications. So whether it's distributed file storage, distributed video distribution, like a lot of the things which we've seen from the kind of centralized internet will turn into a decentralized system. So that's what I see currently. And then if you look a little bit further ahead, then it goes into like more regulated products, like tokenized bonds, tokenized financial products as well, and also enabling kind of a financial inclusion, which we also feel it's a strong potential, because we have so many community members from all over the world, from Bangladesh, Indonesia, everywhere. They're LCX fans, and they're supporting our network as well. And the only way we can they take part in the communities is with crypto. They don't have a bank account or a credit card or something like that. So that's, I see kind of another wave of adoption. And in particular, you see that happen in countries where the fiat currency is collapsing. So Turkey, for example, in Europe, there was an inflation of over 40-50% just like the last couple of months. So whatever your savings are, they're gone half. And that's terrible. So of course the whole population is seeking in other ways, and they can't just wire the money somewhere else. So they're exploring crypto. Nigeria, the same. Venezuela, a lot of countries who struggle with that. That's where adoption of crypto goes up. And so we basically, for example, Venezuela, we can't serve. Unfortunately, they're on the blacklist. But most international countries we can serve also from Liechtenstein, as Liechtenstein is a is a financial hub, like really a powerhouse.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. No, that's great. One thing that
question
go
to
ahead.
you. So
Yeah.
basically turning the question upside down to you. I mean, we've built an infrastructure in this tiny country. Also, we are kind of locally embedded with the legal system. We think global from day one. What excites you most about that, and what can we make happen together?
Yeah, I think building advanced trading solutions is like, and getting crypto up to the par of, hedge funds doing real-time trading all the way to which will create advanced products. I mean, I think that's like 5 years down the road, but it starts now, and it starts with the right data. But like you said, decentralized finance has kind of really planted that seed. Yeah. Some of the interesting things that I'm starting to think about are advanced exchanges, looking at like the digital advertising space, where we've had real-time bidding on user impressions, serving ads for some time. Like you experienced that in your mobile boom and career, where it was, we were trying to build out, the ad industry was trying to figure out how do you serve ads on a mobile phone. I remember that whole debacle. And so now what I get excited about is how do you take things like ad exchanges and put those onto blockchains? How do you take data, like advancing data exchanges for everything, down to the individual identity being tied to your financial services and your LTV on crypto exchanges or crypto related activities? How do you follow that between NFTs to advertising to, underwriting your Bitcoin so that you can get a loan? Like all these kind of services that really advance not just the trading of a single asset, but how you bundle data in a different way that appeals to different industries. So one of the things that I think that we're doing with Constellation and what we look for in projects that want to build out with us are, how are they capturing data and creating a product that advances, that wouldn't even be thought of to be built on Ethereum or even Polkadot, but really kind of take what's going on in the real world, like government data and how it's exchanged between different agencies, put that on a blockchain and productize that service, and then apply something like that into the crypto world. So what we're kind of qualifying and kind of budding up are these like really big picture industries that have a need for data exchange that's packaged up differently, which, like I said, advertising, you package that up as digital ads, but it's underwritten by data. So I was going on a little bit of a tangent there, but hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of how we're looking at advancing blockchain solutions, which is very similar to what you were saying, and in that most things are going to have a decentralized component because of a generational and cultural shift towards transparency and data assurance and authenticity. I think those themes continue to play into the technology we build, the products we buy, and the applications we use. So, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. And a lot of the things we're talking about, the future of what we want to do. But I want to point out to all our viewers here that we didn't just like, we're not starting yet. We already started. So the implementation is already ongoing. Our whole team is focusing on getting the wallets up and running, that we can support DAG and LTX deposits. Then we're working to set up the state channel and the node as well. So and the whole kind of technical integration is a key part. So all of our partnerships are really something substantial. We are not just doing like these talks and talk about what we could do. Right. I will call you in a couple of months and we'll do another session and then we tell what we've done. And I think we have to not only to our community and our users, but also to us. I think, that's my like more the German and Swiss mentality coming in. So I rather under promise and over deliver.
You really do, and it's fun talking with you. Even yesterday, you were like, "We're already done with this integration. We're done with this," and I was like, "This is amazing." I actually went to a few of our partners and said, "Man, they've already plugged this in. How do we replicate this like tenfold to everybody we work with?" So you guys have been invaluable. One of the things I do want to kind of like leak to the community is kind of this idea of Lattice Launch Pad, which will allow Lattice holders to participate in backing of early projects that we're bringing on into Constellation, then onto LTX. And what we're building with LCX is actually a kind of package solution or legal framework that's compliant for token raising, and kind of joint packaging this together. I thought it was a really fun conversation that we had yesterday, that we really hadn't thought about productizing that for the Lattice community.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So I think, as we both agree on, the success of Constellation Network will be based on the growth you can generate on the exciting applications which you're building. And what we want to achieve there in the partnership is that you can just fully focus on scale and growth of this exciting applications and use cases. And we'll take care of how to engage with the community, and then do kind of token airdrops or rewards or even token sales in a compliant manner. Basically, what we want to ensure that the project will not suffer from any legal cases in the future, like what we see now with a few subramas going out, or problems, or founders who can't visit specific countries anymore or whatever. So that's something which we completely want to avoid, and that's why this kind of L0 token launchpad and Lattice Launch Pad, or the Constellation Launch Pad, however you will name it, will play an instrumental part, because we can really accelerate that launch. So you know, some people think Polka Starter is interesting, but I think what we can do together is much more exciting and scalable.
Totally do. And it's been fun rapping with you on this. And Monty, I think I could go on forever just talking with you. I can't wait to have a beer with you over in Europe or over here in Napa. But any kind of parting words on what our community should look out for the next 100 days from LCX? Anything beyond like the DAG and LTX listing? What do you guys have coming up in the works?
Yes, so basically it's all about growth and traction. We will be announcing a couple of key partnerships where we had been working on for over half a year or a year sometimes. So we had been keeping this in secret. Some partners are from Silicon Valley region, others are from Asia. So that's something I'm really looking forward to bring that to light. Also, like, what is really funny is that, at the last final days, we have the content calendar and say, okay, we launch that tomorrow. And then the tech team says, oh no, like we need 2 more days. So we always have to juggle to really fill up the everyday announcements. So I can tell the community basically that it will be an exciting 90 days coming. So we already have 10 done. And we hopefully will grow to millions of trading volume per day on LCX Exchange. And then there are some other cool, exciting projects coming up, which also all go into building the ecosystem for LCX token, bringing in all stakeholders, incentivizing the reward system, and then also bringing kind of wealth and success to everybody is supporting us.
Thanks, Monty. Really great chatting with you again. I've had the privilege of talking with you quite a bit over the past couple of weeks, and I think this energy between all of us and our communities, and it all kind of starts with a thank you to both of our communities for putting us in touch. Like, without all of you, this wouldn't, I don't know if it would have happened as seamlessly as it did. So I can't thank you all enough. And it just shows our dedication into building a community and providing more transparency to all of you. It helps shape our companies. So
absolutely, yeah. and we'll keep you updated on the process. So next step will be support of the wallets and then listing of DAG, and we'll do LTX right after that, and then we'll launch the rocket with the launch pad.
I love it. Thank you all. Monty, that was awesome, man.
Thanks.
You guys all have a good one. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. And I know it's evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.